Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, depending on the time of the day you catch me on this video. So today I'm just going to share some cool information. Very quickly, we're just going to focus on one type of market, which is the foreign exchange market. It's known by many different names. Some people refer to it as the international currency market or the foreign exchange market or the Forex market. All these names are referred to the same place. So because we make daily engagement with this market, we talk about it every day. And we also have people who say, wow, we never heard about this market. Is it even legitimate? Does it even exist? We don't know anything about it. We don't want to know anything about it. So today I just decided to take some time and shoot this video and just share some cool information of you. Hopefully it's going to be helpful. Hopefully someone can learn something today. Okay, and feel free, please, before we get started, subscribe to our channel, Empire Building Network. The reason we're doing this video is to spread information out there, to bring the educational information out there. And that's why we take this time, go out of our way really to kind of commit ourselves to this work and spread the word and make it knowledgeable for most people. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen and then we're just going to get started. All right, I got cool stuff for you today. Let's look at that. All right, share screen. All right, so a good place to start certainly is we're just going to go a random Google search using some keyword, and the keyword we're going to do today is Forex market. Okay, Forex market. So we have it over there. Boom. Right. So let's look at that first information here. We have Wikipedia. I'm just going to pull that info there on the other screen. So Wikipedia just gives us a quick intro. And for people who are not familiar with Wikipedia, this is a public kind of encyclopedia. Anyone can come here, put in information. That's why sometimes in academic spheres, they don't really give much credit for any info that comes from Wikipedia because it's an open source kind of thing. It's often not vetted, but yet it's a good place to start. And then we're just going to go into a more focused resource, right? So Wikipedia defines the forex market or the FX or the currency market, a global, decentralized, and over-the-counter market for the trading of currencies. This market determines foreign exchange rate for every currency. So when you travel, you go at any airport, you find a bureau de change, and you want to change currencies, you want to convert your dollars to euros or any other currency you may think of. You may go to your local bank or a bureau de change or anything like that. They will quote you a rate, and that rate is obtained from this market. This market is in existence for decades since the fall of the golden standard. The floating standard was introduced in 1971, and this market was created at the time. All right, so it includes all aspects of buying, selling, and exchanging currencies at current or determined prices. In terms of trading volume, it is by far the largest financial market in the world, followed by the credit market. Does that mean something? Well, you can do this research by yourself. There's a lot of information to read out there, but we're just going to stay on the headline, and I'm going to go pull another resource, right? One resource that I like really to refer a lot about is Investopedia, because this is focused information, is information in the business area. It's written by specialists in the field, and they share this information. So let's pull the Investopedia resource. Wow, let's look at that. This is an article written December of last year, December 8th. It's written, by James Chain, and I've read several articles by James Chain. It's excellent. He knows how to summarize info, and we have other people who have reviewed this information. They fact check that everything that's on here is correct and it's relevant. So Forex is a portmanteau of foreign currencies and exchange. So whenever we say Forex, we mean currencies, right? So for exchange. Now, foreign exchange is the process of changing one currency into another for a variety of reasons, right? So that's not really what we're looking at. But what we're looking at is what is the Forex market. Now, here is interesting. Here is a detailed explanation of the Forex market. The Forex exchange market is where currencies are traded. Right? Currencies are important because they allow us to purchase goods and services locally and across borders. International currencies need to be exchanged to conduct foreign trade and businesses. Right? So I'm looking at it's a detailed article which explains in details, in great detail, how this market functions, who are the players on this market, and etc., etc., etc. That's not the point of us. We're not here to talk about those details. We're here about to find facts about the existence of this market, and we're going to do a little comparison with what people are most familiar with. People are most familiar with the stock market. Whenever you talk about people have the idea of investing, they will bring up the stock market. Most people who are working like in countries such as Canada, the United States, they have something called 401k, which is an investment vehicle. Or even if you set up your own investment vehicle, like a retirement annuity, you probably are investing in stock and or bonds, and you getting those from the stock market, right? So, but Forex market is different. This is about money. This is about currencies. We don't trade stock in this market. It is the biggest financial market in the world. So I'll show you a little bit more information on that. All right, so we have, okay, so here it's highlighted. It says the foreign exchange, also known as the Forex or FX market, is a global marketplace for exchanging national currencies, right? Because of the worldwide reach of trade, commerce, and finance, Forex market tends to be the largest and most liquid asset in the world, right? So, we often talk about the idea of decentralization, meaning this market is decentralized. So there's no one single spot where you can go and access these services. Basically, you can go to your local bank, you can go to your local bureau de change, or if you're traveling at any airport point, you're going to see screens and the places where you can go and exchange currency. So you don't necessarily need to physically access this market because there's simply no need for that. Across the world, anywhere you travel or anywhere you go, you have access to this market using your local financial institutions. They will act as an extension of this market, and they will complete any services that this market is able to give to you. So obviously, we're developing all this conversation in the context of our business, which is Novatech, and because we conduct the activities of trading currencies in this market, and we generate profit. And those are the profit that we pay people weekly on Fridays. And so I'm giving a quick shout out to all my Novatech people, my Novatech investors, because this is really what we do. So our role is just to share that information out there. Right. So very quickly, let's look at other information relating to this market. First of all, I want to bring a graph that shows a little bit of a difference between this market and how it compares with a more regular market such as the stock market. All right, so as I'm looking to spot this graph, and then I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Here we go. So all right, so let's look at that. Boom, here we go. So let's first of all visualize in comparison, how does the foreign exchange market compare with a more commonly known like a stock market. On the foreign exchange market, the daily volume of transaction, as we have just read, is the most liquid market in the world, the largest market in the world, in the order of $5.3 trillion a day. There are days where it gets to $6 trillion a day in volume of transaction. That's crazy money. Most people can't even comprehend that number, right? So if you look at the New York Stock Exchange, the average daily transaction in volume of transaction that goes on that market is $28 billion. Now that's crazy money, a lot of money, $28 billion. But when you think about it, it doesn't even come close to the Forex market. There's more money, more liquidity on the Forex market. It is the single largest financial market in the world. Look at the equity market or the future market. I don't have a data for the credit market, but I believe credit market in the US should be in excess of $1 trillion. Yet the Forex market is about 5 times that number. It is the single most financial market in the world. Now, there's a lot of transactions that happen in the market. There are many players that happen in the market. I have a quick comparison, although I have a more detailed one, but I'm not going to just look at this one as of now. So let's just let that sink for a moment. $5.3 trillion in volume of transaction on a day per day basis. Isn't that crazy? And yet we have people who don't know anything about this, and it's not their fault, because this is not a primary market where you can just go, your local, commercial or business district, and just like, hey, I'm going to the Forex market. It's not a walk-in market. It's a secondary market, so you need to go through a brokerage firm, or if you have a banker, they may be conducting these activities, to this market, and so there's no way any single person can go into the market directly, right? And but there's more and more information available about this market since the advent of the internet, because of the internet, most people have a electronic device, whether it's a tablet or smartphones. Therefore, you can more easily connect to this market or engage with a brokerage firm. Now, I'm going to issue a word of caution. If you navigate the internet today, especially on social media, you find a lot of people they'll tell you, hey, look, we're going to represent you. We're doing this, we're doing trading, we're going to double your money by the day. They promise you crazy kind of thing. Be careful. Don't just, shoot at anything that moves. Be very careful. Yes, there are crazy promises out there. I don't want to get into that, but I'm just warning everybody, watch out. Now, we have an important and very special vehicle we use for our investment needs, and it's called Novatech. And Novatech has been doing it for us, right? So on average, we conduct activities on this market. We do daily trading, and with a weekly reporting on Fridays, and we report a result which average about 3%. It's usually about 2 to 4%, but and that's your weekly average. And for one of our previous videos, I talked about investing. The idea of investing, you have to include the time component. Most people want quick wins. That's why they get engaged with scams, and that's why they're losing money, because they want quick wins. And you find people will tell you, look, I'm going to double your money in 3 days. Crazy. You got to be an expert in everything, outsmart all of the players on this market to be able to consistently win. Now, don't get me wrong, it is possible, but is it consistent? It is not. We have an 85 to 90% success rate with Novatech, and we deliver consistent result. However, we're not a get-rich quick scheme. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. We use this platform to spread that information, proper information, educational information, to let people know about the existence of this market and the opportunity that's come. We have one opportunity, it's called Novatech. If you want to know more about it, reach out, subscribe to our channel, Empire Building Network. All right, so more on this to come. Just bear with me. I'm going to just show you a few more stuff just in a bit. Okay, all right, so international foreign exchange market, this is great. Now let's talk a little bit about the nature of the Forex market. Who are the players on this market, right? So I have a graph here. I take no credit. I did not design this graph. Okay, this is by Napkin Finance. This is one of my most recent resources. I love these guys. They have a way of depicting images, spreading educational information by summarizing it. This is really something, a third grader can read and understand, and I love it. Sometimes as adults, it's hard to read volumes and volume of books. We are busy adult, people have lives, they work, they have all that, and so presenting information that is easy and digestible for most people, that's really highly appreciated. It is very simple for people to digest and understand what's going on here, right? So that's why we use it, right? So and again, if you are a Novatech investor, or if you want to become a Novatech investor, you're going to learn even more. We have plenty of resources to educate you. And if you're interested in the business of trading, we have a free trading course as well in the back office. Now, back to this graph. So the players on the global foreign exchange market government, of course, because we trading with currencies. We have government players because the Reserve Bank has a take at how much dollars is being used on that market, and is it trading against which currencies. They have to vet the origin of money, avoid money laundering schemes, security issues they have to be addressed, etc., etc., etc. There are dealers, right? Dealers, people who come in and trying to capture the best deals of the day. It will usually be, brokerage firms. They can be dealers, they can be corporations, and coming in and trying, maybe working on projects and trying to, that engage large sums of money, and they need to work in different currencies or different territories. Therefore, they'll be interested in that market. There are investors, of course, investors, people who bring the capital, they have the money, right? And we have individual people like me. I have no corporation behind me. It's just me, right? And a partner with a brokerage firm called Novatech, and I happen to be on that market too. Now, this is a $5.3 trillion market. So even if my investment is only $100, I can still take pride in being part of that $5.3 trillion. My investment is part of it. So I'm excited about that. And that's going to be anybody's case, right? So, and that's why it's exciting for us, like this opportunity, and the internet brought it to us, and we can take part in it and enjoy it. All right. So these are the people that take place in this market. As you can see, currencies are traded in this market. Fiat currencies. These are currencies that are, created by decree, controlled by governmental institutions, whether it's a reserve bank or a central bank, depending on the country. These are currencies that take part in this market. There are also more different type of currencies, right? So, which we refer to as digital currencies or cryptocurrencies. Those are, currencies that are created by cryptographic technology, created on a blockchain. Now, that's a topic for another day. We're not going to dive into that, right? So that is the nature of this market. It is the single most liquid market in the world. It is the largest market in the world. So this graph helps in picturing that information, in sharing, capturing that idea of what type of a market this thing. Now, I'm going to bring in another slide that creates that. It's detailed. It brings a lot of analogies. And also it brings, like, side by side, compares the Forex market to the stock exchange. And that is important because most of us are familiar with the stock exchange, how it works, and etc. So I'm going to bring this slide, and it's going to just bring up like great details and a comparison between these two. And that's my hope is that we spread a little bit of more education out there. People understand what we're doing, and they can benefit from it. All right, and your comments are welcome. So we're looking forward to those. Let's bring up this next slide. Now let's bring it a little bit bigger. So the next slide is really something that I like. Okay, so I'm gonna try and make it a little bigger for my viewers so you see what's going on here on this market. Right, so it compares the Forex market to the stock market. And by stock market, we mean the stock exchange, right? Stock exchange, mainly the New York Stock Exchange, because as we know, there are many stock exchanges around the world. There's only one Forex market. It's decentralized, so you can access that market from anywhere in the world. However, stock exchanges are different, right? So you have a New York Stock Exchange, for instance, as an example. You have the London Stock Exchange, you have the South African Stock Exchange, or the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. I believe there's one stock exchange in West Africa as well. I'm not very familiar, so you forgive me for that limited knowledge of mine. There is the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So all of these, they trade securities, they trade stock from those respective countries, right? And so there are different studies that are conducted to see which one is big and etc. Each one has different characteristics, but in general, they have the same type of structure. Okay, so we're using this stock exchange as a broad concept, not referring to one single stock exchange, but as a broad concept, which refers to different type of stock exchange. They work in a certain manner, and we're comparing that to the international foreign exchange market. I hope that answers the question, right? So now the Forex market is open 24 hours a day and 5 days a week. All right. So those are about the trading hours. Of course, we're not going to go through all this. So that's basic. We talk about the leverage. Leverage is 2 to 1 in the stock market, mostly up to 300 to 1. Okay, in the foreign exchange market, right? So the structure of the stock exchange, it can be over the counter, which means it has to be peer-to-peer, and it can be exchange traded. Whereas the stock market, the forex market, is only over the counter, or OTC if you want. There are fees that are levied for transactions. In the forex market is the spread. We also have commissions on the stock exchange, and other additional fees that they will be levying. They will levy for the transaction, right? So volume of transactions for stock exchange, they can reach 100 billion a day. We're talking about $5.3 trillion a day. So there's no, you can't even compare these two markets in terms of size. It's just crazy, right? So decisions are made, based on the trading of stock, securities on the stock market, whereas on the financial market, on the forex market, we're mainly looking at currency pairs. By currency pair, we mean you don't trade one currency against itself. You trade one currency to another. So you're going to dollars against, the yen, or the yen against the euro, etc., etc. Those are called currency pairs, and there are 8 main currency pairs around the world, right? So what are they? That's a topic for another day, but you can already imagine what are they. We have major currencies like the British pound, the dollars, the euros, the yen. Those are basically the main, and you can make all sort of combination between those 4 currencies and to come up with what are the pairs that are most successful. Of course, every other currency in the world can be part of the pair, but we're looking at the most lucrative, the most traded, the most active ones on the market. Well, so it's instant execution of deal on the forex market, whereas there can be a delay for stock market deals. All right, so major currencies will not fall. That's in terms of security, and that's an interesting concept. Very interesting concept. Often when we trade currencies, people worry when there is a currency is losing value, or when there are fluctuations or volatility on that market, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing. In the currency market, even as a currency is falling, you can still do good trade and make money off it. It's not like in the stock market, which is a company is losing value, the stock is falling, and everybody's getting away from it, and that's it. The main difference is because the stock market is a micro market. It deals with microeconomics issues at the enterprise level. Of course, it's you got to look at it from the global economy. The indicators indicate the health of the economy, but essentially you're looking at an individual company and its performance. That's the driving force behind the value of the share. Whereas on the forex market, it's a macro issue. It's more aggregate. We're looking at the currency. The currency is a representation of a country's economy, the country's health, and that representation include or encompasses agriculture, individual companies, and all that. It's bigger than just a single company, right? So there are more components into it than just looking at the shares of one individual entity, right? So I hope that brings a little bit more clarity. All right. So how easy is it you can access the forex market? As low as $200, according to the shares, this chart. Whereas, in fact, even as low as $100, my platform, Novotech, we work with platform. We allow people with as little investment as $100. You can begin there. We can show you how you can improve from it, from that point where you start with $100. But it's certainly possible. You need that little capital. And people talk about risk. I'm like, really? $100? Are you kidding me? Anyway, I rest my case on that one, right? So now, forex market, the stock exchange depends on the value of the share. Now, here is what they don't tell you, what's not so easy. So let's say company X has a value, shares value of $20. Do you think you can just wake up and you say, oh, I've got $20, I want to buy a share for company X, one share? Does it even make sense? You need to have the structure. You need to have the proper vehicle under which you're going to access the market. And those will bring fees, those will bring structure. You need to have a minimum. You cannot just go or buy one share. You will need to buy a few hundred shares or a few dozen shares at least to get started on that business. So the cost, the barrier to entry is higher on the stock exchange, whereas it's pretty low on the Forex market. You want to know more? Reach out. We're going to show you how, right? So complexity, I mean, don't get me wrong, these markets are very complex. All of them are complex, right? They are very complex, all right? So, you know, however, like on the Forex market, we track at least 4 currency pairs. Now, something I've not spoken about quite often in this video today is the digital currencies, because we also trade digital currency. We don't just trade Forex, we also trade digital currency. That brings another level of complexity because the volatility level is higher. It has to be managed by the entity you're using to access this market, or by yourself as well. You need to know what amount of risk you allow yourself to be exposed to. So all those are issues that you need to manage, right? You know, or on the stock exchange side, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of companies. Which one is the best deal for you? You got to choose between that, right? So you have to compare between a few currency pairs, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 that you're interested in, or maybe the value of the dollar against Bitcoin, or the value of Ethereum versus Litecoin, etc., between digital currencies or fiat currency versus thousands of stock. So depending on your level of skills, time that you have to devote to studying this market, if you ask me, the Forex market is easier. All right. Financial friction, you always need a middleman. Always need a middleman to access the stock exchange. I spoke about it earlier. I mean, even if your company X value is $20, you don't just go and say, hey, I want to buy a share from you guys. You need a middleman. You need to negotiate these deals. You need the right vehicle. You need a minimum amount to get started. And that minimum, I promise, is not going to be $100. It is not $100. It is not made to, you know, allow the average person to be there. You gotta have some sort of structure around it. Whereas on the trade, the Forex market is relatively easy. You connect with a trader. You can be a trader by yourself if you have the skills for it. If you don't need to have any skills to access this market. If you use a vehicle like Novatech, we have what we call the percentage allocation management module account, or PAM, which connects the average person to this great market. And you can start earning right away without any delay. Okay, you don't wait for yearly returns, and so you can start earning right the week you start. Interesting stuff, right? So trading marketplace, and this is the best part, because with the Forex market, you don't have to be at one geographic place. Like we discussed this at the beginning of the video. You can be anywhere in the world. You can be at home. As long as you have access to the internet, you have access to this market. You can have access to this market. Stock market, on the other hand, are centralized. You know, centralized in a way like you yourself as a person, the average person is probably not able to go and trade on this market. You need a certified financial you know, advisor, or someone who can guide you through this process and so on. And you know, it's one place. Like if we talk about the New York Stock Exchange, we know it's in Manhattan and it's in New York. There are stock exchanges a little bit, you know, different places in the world, but all of them serve different category and different people. So this is the point for me today. I just wanted to share this information to give you a little bit more info about this. You know, maybe you know, there will be another video that will come. We'll do a little bit of comparison between you know, the differences between crypto and just general currencies, and we want to do another video to talk about that a little bit. So for me today, I'm very thankful that you allowed me to be with you this afternoon, you know, or this morning, depending where you are. And once again, thank you very much. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and God bless you.